one more for the day that I'm going to record today. This will probably be Thursday, because I tend not to do a video because we do Noir Aunties and we want Noir Aunties today. Well, by the time you see this, it'll be yesterday. We had, if you have not seen Noir Aunties live with Kiana Footman, Level Up Single Mama, I really recommend that you go back and watch that. It'll bless you. Don't get into now February. We're now in making Black History Month. Don't get into February without checking in with your aunties and learning about women who are making history that you can learn from so you can make a better history, a better future, and therefore history for yourself and for your children. Please go back and watch that. But anyway, I may or may not have referenced this on War Aunties. We may or may not do a show about it because as of the time I'm recording this, I haven't talked with Lovely about this, but an observation. And I'll leave the video in the description. The strange case of Kevin Hart, Tasha K, and Maisha Cat Williams Shake. She actually put Cat Williams' name in her one of her social media handles. I'm like, did you really feel you needed to put a black man's name on you to have power? But if you did, that's okay. That's not the subject of this video. The subject of this interview, Pam and Law, Esquire and Law Intellect picked up, I read all these court documents into the record, and I'll put it in the description for those of you that want the tea. I'm not here to discuss the tea. I'm here to discuss why some of you gentlemen who may not have enjoyed yesterday's video do need to stop bringing fear, resentment, and problems, because what's beginning to happen already is that Black women have figured out how to use the powers that be in social media in connection to outwit you. Those of you who do not have your lives together. There is this idea, and again, American men, it's not just Black men, but because of the way the country was founded, the idea is if you get enough money and you get a piece of property, you get to a certain point, you ought to be able to buy a Black woman off the market and use her as a slave. Really, women in general. But there seems to be this extra since 1800 toward Black women historically. And now, since people like Kevin Samuels are in the process of turning to dust, winter came on May 5th of 2022 for him. But he left a legacy of talking about the high value man and put the bar so low that it's down at $100,000 a year. As a San Franciscan, I laugh at that idea. And you start out with $100,000 a year out here, you're a poor man here. I laugh at that idea. I live in a neighborhood with men who would laugh at that idea. Um, but well, that's good money in a lot of places. But the fact that the floor is that low that you think that suddenly you can afford to fornicate and have side babies because and that any woman you deal with ought to put up with the fact that you're gonna pass around STDs and side babies at $100,000 a year, that's 3 good child support payments. That's all that is. Even your football players and basketball players who are making millions and millions of dollars, when that check stops coming in and their careers are over and they've got these child support payments, sometimes they can go back to court and get them adjusted downward, and sometimes you can't. There have been former football players who are still up out online bitter about their baby mamas. Of course, they call it the mothers of their children. We're going to reply respect. They're bitter about the single mothers of their children that they decided to leave as single mothers. Had no intention of forming a family, just wanted to get what they could get and get gone. And flat broke. Like my father, who used to play football, said, the second job for men like that is being orderlies at a hospital because they're big, but they don't have any training. So they're going to have to get some kind of job where they can use their physicality to move heavy stuff around. A lot of them are orderlies later. You had the crowd, you had the thrill of the crowd, and now you got to work menial labor. And that's even before CTE, which is the other cost of that, sets in. All that damage that's done to the head. That's before any of that sets in. And if you didn't pay in the NFL long enough to get that NFL pension, so you have this idea, and the thing about it is so sad about these men who think they're high value men. You have this idea that the men who actually have 99% of the capital in the country are going to move over and let you up there and live like that? No, they're waiting on you. Because the 13th Amendment says slavery is over unless you are felony imprisonment. They waiting on you. And see, what's happening is instead of black women, Cody Gaskin said this a year ago, doing something wrong, here's what I observed. Kevin Hart's assistant, allegedly, did not like the way she was being treated. She went and took her story to Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart finds out, and allegedly, feels like he's being extorted and goes on and tries to do a restraining order against Tasha K. Tasha K gets some really good lawyers and hands him his head back. Miss Shakes, the assistant, files her paperwork and puts every man's name in there that is harassing her. Puts every man that did a crime allegedly and covered for all the crimes because she heard the ball, and then one of the other boys was dumb enough to, when she asked the question, to tell him that that's exactly what happened. So you got about $3-4 million worth of crime going on, and it's now all public records. It's all in documents. It's been filed at court, even though it's not germane to her case. But one of those men had the temerity to threaten her and her daughter. So now, and see, you have to understand, we're in a situation where the court system in the United States is real eager, so eager that a third of black men walking around loose have felonies. And if you kind of do the math on who's in the entertainment industry, and you kind of do the math about where some of these men go after their athletic careers are over, and you do the math on both of those, you find there's a nexus. You ever watch a channel called Flimlo Raps? And this is a wonderful young black man who is one of the finest storytellers because he can tell a story with humanity like no one else. I enjoy his content. As he talks about what happens to athletes before and after, why they made it, why they didn't, what happened afterwards. There's a nexus. There's a nexus between that and the music industry, entertainment in general. So a lot of these men are not people that need their business out in the court streets. Then Pam Esquire, lawyer elect, another black woman content creator, picked up the court records and read them into the record. So now not only does the court know who these men are who allegedly threatened this woman and her daughter, now it's in the social media streets. So I want you to notice what happened. A black woman chose not to stay silent. She went to the most powerful black woman content creator she could think about. Now, you don't have to agree with Tasha K, but she still got up around 1 million viewers. And then a lot of people gonna come to Kevin Hart. He tried to go to court to shut that down. The judge was like, "You don't have any standing to shut it down because you ain't got no evidence to tell me that she can't do this. You're gonna try to bring up what she did with Cardi B. They ain't got nothing to do with you. Shut down." The assistant puts everybody out there on blast. And another content creator who just opened up her second channel comes and reads all those legal documents into the record. Now, did anybody do anything they were alleged to have done? We do not know that. That's why I have to say allegedly. I'm just content creator number 3 to make the information available. So that if y'all want to, y'all can go listen to Pam Esquire, law and elect, read the court documents, so that you can now have an understanding of who it is that is threatening, allegedly threatening this woman and her daughter, so that if something happens to her and her daughter, the police already know who the main suspects are, all the way up to Mr. Kevin Hart, who would fit the qualification for a high value man, but in a system in which it does not matter, people are waiting on you to mess up. When black women get tired of covering the wrong and decide to talk to each other and talk to the court system and talk about the situations openly the way we want to with the access that we have, no, that ain't gonna work for you. Ain't gonna work for you. $100,000 making 100 million. P Diddy found out. We don't know how big that settlement is, but we do have a sense that it's north of 30. And by the way, be thankful you ain't playing in white folks' land. The day that I record this, that Donald Trump got hit with E. and Carroll walked off with $83 million, a number so high that people who have been kind of keeping up with Donald Trump's money problem said that's probably going to be enough to drive him pretty close to bankruptcy because he's trying to run a campaign and he got to come up with that. And see, judgment creditors don't play with you. See, no matter how big and bold you think you are as a man, when the women start talking to the right people, there's always somebody bigger than you. And see, let me tell you something else. I don't care who you think you are. Some of my foremothers could have told you. Around about 1865, Robert E. Lee and his boys found out there was somebody bigger than them. They were the top men in Europe, in England at least, and they were the top men in the United States of America. But on June 19th, 1865, their whole game in this country, as it was played then, was over. Of course, Lincoln helped them out with the 13th Amendment. It only took 2 months from the end of slavery for the first convict leasing programs to be open to make use of the 13th Amendment. But be that as it may, their whole game and lifestyle went down because there was somebody bigger than them. And because Harriet Tubman and a whole bunch of other people whose names we will never know had been not only talking to the Lord, but moving their feet that whole time and making things happen, no matter how big you think you are. Observation. Black women are becoming more inclined to use the tools they have to protect themselves and their children than they are being quiet and covering it up. And what's happening is Black women who have access and have channels are getting in step to provide additional layers. Tasha K, Pam Esquire, Law Intellect, and now little old maid is going to provide another layer of access to knowing, okay, who are the people who have allegedly been threatening this woman, so that everybody knows who's going to look for her, so that we can put pressure on if we have to. And I'm gonna leave the link to the video where you can hear Pam Esquire read this stuff and have it. In case you didn't know, she's got the documents and she's gonna read it into the record and have it up on the screen so that everybody's name needs to be up there is up there. That's just the observation. And I'm glad to see it. Because here's the thing. When people talk about suffer the wrong, that is a very specific background. That was written to Christians who were going to suffer for the name of Christ. And what did Christ do? He died on the cross for our sins, was buried, and resurrected the third day to provide us with God's righteousness, to furnish us a co-stewardship with Christ of the universe and everlasting life, to restore us to being co-stewards of the universe and with the women equally endowed in the role of king priest with the men, according to Galatians 3:28. That's who you suffer the wrong for. You suffer the wrong with your Christian brothers and sisters in order that the name of Christ not be blasphemed in the world. It ain't got nothing to do with black men making a little bit of money trying to be an overdone version, trying to be a overcooked version of Thomas Jefferson, and can't even get to 6'3" and be cute. Ain't got nothing to do with that. I'm glad to see black women using their ability to give and using the systems that exist to get some protection. I work within the system with black men who are doing good, and we are using our rights as U.S. citizens every single day. I enjoy that. I enjoy the fact that we do not have to always be in conflict. Like I said on the last video, if you bring me love, joy, peace, you get love, joy, peace back. If you bring me gentleness, goodness, and patience, you get that back. We can then walk together in meekness, self-control, and faith. I don't have a problem with that. But I do have a problem with overgrown boys driven by fear, resentment, and what did I say? Fear, resentment, and making problems because of their greed, lust, and ego. All that stuff up there in Galatians 5:28 about malice and ego and uncleanness and lust and all that. Y'all just rolling on that and just thinking that we should continue to take that. No, no, no. I'm glad to see black women using the avenues that they have. Do I endorse Tasha K? Of course not. Do I endorse Pam Esquire Law Intellect? I do, because she helps us to understand how the law actually works and how we can make use of it better. When people are getting bad legal advice, now she has a channel called Social Media Jurors where she's able to kind of break down from the point of view of what do you look like in terms of evidence when you hear these things. She's actually helping. I can endorse her wholeheartedly. But I'm glad to see Black women using the information that they have in order to be of service to each other. And of course, I have no problem with the men who are learning how to do better as well, because like I said, I work in good fellowship with men who know what they're doing and are doing the right thing and truly of high value to themselves. And this isn't a reference of how much money they make on an earned income job. This is they have decided to walk in their proper stewardship and be a caretaker of the earth and someone who properly uses the abundance and enjoys the abundance has a right to be rewarded from the abundance that they are good stewards of. I love that. I love being in communion with men like that. But these little overcooked versions of Thomas want to be overcooked versions of Thomas Jefferson. They ain't that tall and not as cute. No. Like I said in the previous video, you can't buy your way with that. You're going to act out. You're going to get snapped up. You just go ahead and ask Ernest Williams about how that works. A whole lot of other people. You go ask Puff Daddy and Donald Trump how that works. You going to pot fast across an high eight figure number because you're going to act a fool with some woman. I love to see that women are not going to do this anymore so that we can have the energy and the healing if we choose to be able to reciprocate properly with men, not for. That's different. Co-stewardship is not slavery. With men, if we choose, who are going to be behaving correctly. I observe with joy that Black women are using what they have available to saying to the men that don't want to be anything but the chief of the foolery, no, we're not going to do this. We're going to work together and we're going to use the system to make sure you don't get a chance to hurt us and our children. I'm here for it. I am. For those of you that want the tea, including all those names read to the record, I'll put Pam as well Law Intellect's video in the description. All right. I recorded 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of video, and there may be some on the climb because I don't know what the weather's going to be like. I'm thinking there may be an on the climb video for Monday, Tuesday, whatever's top most of mine, but this is what I had to record today for you. Enjoy your day, and thank you for listening. Hopefully, if you haven't checked out More Aunties, please go do that. It'll bless you. And I'll see y'all. What is today? By the time you see this, it's Thursday the 1st. Happy February. Happy Making Black History Month. And we'll have some content relative to that. And also some more things coming out. We're going to be building out some things that can be more help you, whether you purchase Seeds in the Crypto Bull Run for financial freedom or not. We're going to be continuing to do some very good crypto education as we get there, little snippets to help you along the way. So in February, expect to see more of that. So anyway, thank you for listening. Y'all have a good day now. Goodbye.